Awesome. Okay, we got it this time.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we just tried this on Facebook. It didn't work, so we're on Instagram. We're gonna do this again. And
Oh, from the top. All right.
yeah, I'm gonna ask you the same shit. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're trying to give guys a perspective of all the shit they do wrong, because if you go on a bad date with a guy, chances are you're not going to talk to him again. And so he'll never know what he did wrong. So hopefully some guy out there is probably fucking up and watching this video, and then he can go back.
It's gonna learn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So to get started, even though I just asked you all this stuff, how old are you? What city do you live in? Do you have a hobby? You know, give us your background.
Yeah. So, born and raised here in Georgia. I was living in Jacksonville, Florida the past 3 years, and then I just got promoted and moved back. So now back here in Atlanta. I'm 23, and hobbies. I play volleyball, guitar. I like to write. I think I'm a creative person. I run a business, so it's really just trying to maintain my sanity around the working class. So
You're super busy though. So
yes.
I mean, you have some high level hobbies. You're doing a business. You're an attractive girl. So you're like I would say that you're like a high level girl that a guy would want to try to go after and date. So you got some interesting things about you. My little,
Sure.
I think it's cool. But earlier we were talking, and so you said you'd been doing Cutco for 6 years. So you paid for college at Cutco.
I did.
Really fucking cool. A lot of college students don't have that discipline to do something like that. Yeah. And I can't remember what other cool details we came up with, but I think all that shit's interesting. But that gives guys perspective of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, what I wanted to ask you was, if you had to gauge your experience level in the dating world as an adult, where would you say that you stand? Like if there's
Yes, and I said, yeah, I was more like intermediate because I have fairly recently joined the dating scene. So where I was in a relationship for 4 or 5 years, recently was not as of last year. So it's been kind of like new in the sense that it's my first like really experience, but I've been on a fair amount of dates. I don't know what's a lot. Like how do you gauge it? I don't know, but
I don't know. You know, it's a good question. But you get to a point, right, where you've seen the same shit over and over and over again. You get like, if guys are,
I've seen enough, yeah, like to know what I like, what I don't like. Yeah, that's for sure.
right, and you've like, if guys, now we talked a little bit. So I asked you, you know, were you on dating apps? You said you tried Tinder and Bumble. You didn't like it because Tinder was like the hookup culture, and Bumble just like what
I didn't like, I say try very loosely because I know that I didn't really try. It was more like I got it to see if it was going to be something I found initially appealing, and when I didn't, I just kind of fell off the wagon. I didn't stick with it. I really didn't try.
Okay,
so for all I know, they're great. I just didn't really give it a chance, I guess.
I got you. So let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. So you tend to get like enough organic attention from guys just from your daily fucking life? Guys come up and talk to you, or just friends from high school or whatever. Is that like what?
Yeah, at the risk of sounding arrogant, yeah.
I mean,
that tends to be the case.
You know what I'm saying? Because guys need to understand like what the reality is for an attractive girl. Like when you, so let's say for example, you're in the grocery store and a guy comes and wants to talk to you. Like if he's the fourth guy that's talked to you that day, you know, you got to fucking come at it in a certain way that, you know what I mean? That just,
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that's important for guys to like, just to fucking be real about that, you know? So tell us about maybe that situation. Like where do you tend to meet guys, if not for online?
Well, you know what? It does tend to be in pretty random places. Like I met someone at a CVS once and we went on a couple dates, and then a lot of times it'll be like friends of friends. So like I'll get introduced to new people. I've met a fair amount of people when I'm traveling. Met someone at the airport once. Let's see. I mean, it just depends. I mean, I've met people obviously like when you go out on a Saturday night, I've met people there. So it just kind of depends. Gotcha. But yeah, just random. It's never been like this is my go-to place. So.
No, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, so it's either at a party or just hanging out with friends or whatever. Maybe go out to a bar or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, social. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, so here's a question for you. Okay, so Facebook, Instagram. Obviously, you're on Facebook and Instagram. You're not on the dating apps. Have you ever given a guy a chance off of Facebook and Instagram? Maybe like somebody from high school or some random guy that fucking messaged you, like.
I have,
Okay.
and I have. I don't do it often. If ever, I think twice ever.
Okay.
And the first one was like a total bust, and I was just like, this is why people don't do this. And then the second time, I actually had a pretty good time, and it was off of somebody who messaged me.
Hold on. We got a book or whatever that made you give him a chance, right? Because you probably get people like random hitting you up all the time, right? On Facebook, like stupid message, you know what I mean? I'm guessing
Yeah.
frequent at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, fair amount. So,
So what makes a guy stand out to where you'd actually consider going out with him random like that?
okay, well, so the first one, what the guy did was like basically established like a level of comfortability. So like it didn't feel weird. Like if I was like, oh, he seems funny enough, like he was genuine, made me laugh, and I was like, okay, cool. Like what could go wrong?
Yeah.
And so that's why I agreed, and like I went out and I had it was like I said, it wasn't the best. And then the second time I was just in a mood where I was like, fuck it, and I just went for it, and actually had a pretty good time. So like that wasn't
Okay.
anything he did. I was just in a mood where I was like, you know what, I wanted to go out tonight and he seems nice enough, sure, why not? It wasn't anything he did. It was just like I was like, okay, sure,
So
we'll see.
and you got lucky. He got lucky, and then you got lucky that he was.
Right. So yeah, he wasn't like, yeah, no, it was actually really not a bad time. So I enjoyed myself.
That's cool. Okay. So let's see. The next question was, okay. So let me ask you. Oh no. So you don't talk to a lot of guys online, because I was going to say a lot of guys tend to sort of pen pal women. They fucking chat back and forth. Have you ever had this happen to you where it's kind of time to like make something happen and they just keep fucking talking?
Yeah, no, actually, I had a friend from high school that like messaged me pretty regularly and like it was just random chat, and I wouldn't always respond because I don't like to text aimlessly. Like that's just me. I don't. There's no purpose. Like I'm like I get to a point where I'm like, what do you want? And maybe
You're a
that just makes
business
me a
owner.
bitch. I don't know, but like that's kind
Well,
of how
you're a
I
fucking
get.
business.
Where
You're selling knives.
so yeah, and so he would just message me like around the clock, at any time, pretty frequently, daily. Like if I didn't respond, it didn't really phase him, and that went on for like a year. And I didn't mind. Like I was friendly. I knew him in high school. We were friends, but like nothing came of it. Nothing happened, and probably nothing ever will. Because I was just like, I
But
guess
would
we're
he
just
had an exchange,
friends.
like after y'all had an exchange of maybe 4 or 5 times? Like, would he have had some kind of a chance had he went for it after a few exchanges? What do you think?
This particular individual, probably not.
Okay,
Maybe somebody else. I don't
gotcha.
see. It's hard because it's so circumstantial, you know. Like
Yeah,
there's
no,
just it's
it really is.
it's circumstantial, so it's
It really
hard to
is.
say with like a blanket statement it would have made a difference or not.
True. I got you. So let's see. What frustrations do you have with the in-person process? So you're not a big online dater. Like, let's say guys come up and talk to you in person or whatever. Like, or even if it's a friend introducing you to a guy, like, what are your fucking frustrations about the process of a guy coming to talk to you in person? Like, for those times that, doesn't go the way you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So my number one frustration is when they don't read body language. And because like girls aren't as mysterious as I feel like guys want to think we are. Like we communicate plain as day how interested we are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very true.
my biggest pet peeve, and like some people really like to be touched and whatnot, I'm not about it. If I don't know you, don't fucking touch me. And so I don't like when someone comes up to me and is immediately like grabbing my arms or touching my hair, or like god forbid you pet my head, I might deck you. Like I just don't. Oh, like I don't care for that. I don't like it. And actually the worst date I'd ever been on was a couple weeks ago. The guy would not stop touching me, and I literally ended up like I was like, okay, this isn't, bye, sorry. And I've never walked out on a date before, but it was just too
Oh
much. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't.
Like
You got to
totally.
read the,
100%.
and
one thing I say in my videos, and this isn't coming from me, this is just like conventional dating advice for guys, which is like, it's okay to touch a girl when she starts touching you. So like,
Yep.
one of the things I'll do, like, I like to wear little stupid fucking bracelets and shit like that, right? Because it makes it easy. So if I told some jokes and then you decide you like me or something, you could reach over and start playing with the bracelet if you wanted to, without actually having to touch me, and that
Sure.
sort of kicks it off in an easy way. You know what I mean? So little things like
Yeah.
that. And which everybody wants to say shit like, oh, just be yourself. Like, just, you don't need to worry about these little things. But it's like, no, how many guys don't fucking read body language? You know what I mean? If they just watch a video, it'd be
It
like,
makes
oh,
a big difference. It really does. It makes a big difference. Like it was the same week that this happened. The guy before, they did the same thing. Like I wear a lot of rings. I don't like a good amount of rings.
yeah,
And the first guy that I went on a date with, that I actually really liked, like he played with the rings or whatever, and I didn't mind so much, but like I pulled my hand away, like he noticed, you know, he wasn't like, oh, let me see your hand. Like he understood, like I pulled my hand away, not in it. And
right.
then the other guy literally like scoots closer. I'm like, okay, back away. Like it's little subtle things like that that we do to communicate what's okay, what's not okay. And if you pick it up, great. Then it's like, okay, cool. We can have a mutual respect and understanding of what's gonna fly. And then if you don't pick it up, it makes it worse, I feel, because now not only are they unaware, but like you're like hyper aware because now you're paying attention to the fact that they don't get it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like
It's like the
compounded.
thing. It's like the
Yeah.
elevator, some shit. I
Yeah.
totally
So it's
get
not just that you touched me and I was uncomfortable. And now it's like, oh, you did that and you don't realize that I'm uncomfortable. And now I'm hyper aware of how uncomfortable I am. So
yeah, that sucks. Well, okay, let's put this out there too. So let's say a guy doesn't go overboard, but he's playing with your rings, you pull your hand away, okay? Just because that happens doesn't mean it's not necessarily not going to be okay to touch you again later. Like, so let's say some jokes
right.
happen, the mood goes up again, and maybe you're ready, like everything's cool, and like maybe you actually touch him first because now you're feeling it a little bit more. Like that,
Sure.
just because you pulled your hand away once doesn't mean that he can't, moderately feel it back out again, right?
Right. No, absolutely. But that's what I was saying. Like, it really is body language and then like reciprocating. So like I'm in sales, so we call it matching and mirroring, right? So like if your client is doing something, then like you can match and mirror and it psychologically makes them like you more. So if you can tell, like, this is like deep shit, right? But if you can tell someone is more interested in you than you are in them, if you emulate their behavior, it will like psychologically make them trust and like you more than it would if you just did whatever you were going to do. So like, in other words, if a girl is touching you and you don't touch her at all, now all of a sudden she's like offended or feels uncomfortable because she like quote unquote came on to you and you like rejected her, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're matching and mirroring and you're reciprocating that exact same level of attention, now it's mutual and it feels better. So I would say that like it's okay to attempt again, but really just make sure that I guess the level of physicalities is being matched, and if it's mutual, then it's okay. But
yeah, 100%. That's so cool. That's real. That's some cool sales shit to factor into the.
like, there you go, free of charge. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. That's fucking awesome. Okay, so let me ask you this. So, how many guys? And we're probably 3/4 of the way through the question. So, if you got to go soon, that's cool. But how many guys? Like let's say they're getting to the point where they're setting up a date with you, so it's in person or whatever. And how many guys ask you shit like, "Where do you want to go?" instead of just saying, "Hey, let's go here at this time," etc.
Well, that's interesting because from what I've experienced, most of the time there was like kind of a set plan in advance, so we just kind of did what was already planned. It hasn't been so spontaneous.
Group or like,
but
what do you mean by
what was
that?
that?
Like in a group, or what do you mean by that?
No, like if like we had a date planned, like we went and did whatever was already pre-planned. So like I kind of went in knowing like, okay, dinner's gonna happen and then this, right?
But how did that get planned? Who planned it?
Oh, I see. It's a good question. I would say it's probably 50-50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it bother you when a guy won't be decisive? Like he says, "Hey, what do you want to do tonight?" Or are you cool with it? Now you seem kind of like like a decisive businesswoman type.
I
How does
am.
it feel like
I
when you?
am. So no, I wouldn't say it bothers. The only time it bothers me is if I say, "Hey, you can pick," and then they still don't pick, or they're like, "Are you sure?" That's when I'm not so about it, because that's irritating to me. I'm like, "You pick, like you make the decision. I don't want to think about it." And then they basically being kind of pansies about. I don't know.
Okay, so if your boss delegates it, then you got to fucking make a choice.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm like, I don't want to think about it. Like, someone else, like, you do it. I don't want to worry about it. Then you pick. Or if I say, hey, how about this? Then, like, that's fine if you throw out other suggestions too. I don't mind. But it is annoying if, like, I've said, like, you can pick or you do this, and then it's still going back and forth. I'm like,
Got
just make a decision. Like,
All
let's
right.
move on.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Okay. So we already talked about. So your worst date ever was the dude who touched you too much, right? That was your only time walking
Yeah.
out. Okay. Um. You want to say
Yeah.
something else about that before I ask?
I feel so bad. No, I feel bad because, like, genuinely, like, he was actually, he's quite a nice guy. Genuinely, like, I really didn't mind his company. I don't think he realized. Does that make sense? It was more like oblivious than it was intentionally terrible. Like, he just didn't understand. And so I kept trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and like I put up with it for a long time, and then eventually I was like, this is too much. Like, I can't. I'm sorry. It's not gonna work. Um, but I did try to give him the benefit of the doubt like several times. But he was a nice guy, so I feel kind of bad like putting him on blast.
Well,
But
okay. Well, here's the thing. So nothing against him. Okay. I feel like this is a problem with guys in general. This is not me hating on my species. Okay. This is an education process. So you laid some
okay,
sales on us. I'm going to throw out a pet theory. Okay. So I feel like men are sort of more able to do the bear in a cave thing, where you can kind of detach yourself from society a little bit, because you're sort of like a little bit more standalone, like physically you're stronger, you're not relying on the tribe so much for survival. Whereas I feel
okay,
like women, this is just a theory, okay? I feel like women are much more socially attuned since they're a little girl to like be like intertwined with the fucking tribe. I don't know why that is. I just feel like that's the case because I don't know. It's like just I mean the whole saying about like it takes a tribe to raise a child and all that shit. Like
sure.
I don't know, I feel like women are just more socially attuned than guys are, and I think it has something to do with the physical stature thing. I don't fucking know, but that's just my little pet
I
theory.
think it's more
And
like emotional intelligence, just like being aware of how people feel, like, and like also, they say like girls are psycho for that reason, because we're like very much, we think about how we feel, and then we feel how we think we should think about that some more. So
yeah,
there's a lot of thinking about how we feel going on, but it does enable you to like not only really know yourself and how you feel, but also detect how others are feeling. So I wouldn't say you're wrong. I think that is definitely a valid theory.
we
So
have some
I know
work
that for
to do.
me, like, I'm very aware most of the time.
I get it. Yeah, I feel like we have some work to do. The guys like in that area, we have to be more,
Hmm.
because here's one thing that we tend to do. We tend to project our attraction level for you onto you and assume that it's equal. So like in our
Okay.
mind, like if we like you, we're almost feeling like the vibe is the same as what's in our head a lot of times. And so that we,
Okay.
instead of watching, I mean, not every guy fucking does this, right? Like you get guys that are like more with it, right? But I feel like
Hmm.
the common problem. I've caught myself fucking doing it before. Like it's just easy to do, and then you find out later it's like, oh, like that girl like was sending some signals, like she wasn't into it as much as I was, And then
Right.
like
Yeah.
it happens like that sometimes. Um, but okay, so we talked about the worst date. We're almost through. Three more questions. Next one is the best date you've ever went on, and what made it special, or what made it like a really fucking awesome date.
Okay. So this was probably almost 3 months ago. I went on a date with somebody that I met at the Battery, and we just kind of hit it off from the get-go. But then like didn't really coordinate or talk or anything because we both were working professionals, so we're just busy all the time. So there was it was a fair amount of anticipation before we actually did get a date in there. So like that didn't actually help. But what I will say is it
Right.
made me excited, and that's
Yeah.
like is a good thing to feel. So we went to dinner at Yard House at the Battery, And again, it was just kind of like a natural chemistry, which definitely helped the process because like I was into him and I could tell that he was into me. But what made it probably the best date I've ever been on was that after dinner we went dancing and it was so exciting. It was so fun. I had a great time and I loved seeing the confidence because I can imagine that that's probably not an easy first date. Like, okay, yeah, let me go dancing. And I mean,
That takes some
I'm
balls.
not even gonna lie to you. It was sexy. It was fun. I was blown away because I didn't expect it. One, like I knew dinner was happening, but like I didn't know that we were gonna go dancing afterwards. And it was hands down one of the most fun dates I ever had. And the attention that he was giving me while we were even surrounded by other people, like I felt very like admired, and it was fun. I had a great time. Like it's very rare that I would go on a date and then like tell all my friends like I went on a date last night. This is how like I wouldn't do something like that. I was excited about this guy and I went home and I talked about him, and it's embarrassing, but that is what happened. So.
That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. Right? Of course, like how can you argue with dancing, right? Like that takes some fucking balls, especially in the
Well, and mind you, I'm an awful dancer. I love to dance, but I'm horrible at it. And I even warned him. I was like, I want you to like me, and after you see me dance, like that's not going to be the case. But I had a great time even so. And like I said, he just made me feel like $1,000,000, and it was really cool to see him in his element, just enjoying himself. Like it was fun.
Okay, I want to say one other thing about that because you said something that I think is super fucking important. So in the beginning, you said that you guys are both busy professionals, so you didn't talk a lot leading up to the date. So you were excited because it was a sense of fucking mystery, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think it's super important. So like a lot of guys will get in this habit of almost contacting too much or not, like they're like not talking too much or giving you too many details and shit instead of letting you wonder about it.
Yep. And I can relate with that because the worst date guy, he did that a couple of times where he would say something and it made me question. I was like, "Yeesh, do I want to go on this date anymore?" But again, he was so sweet. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I'm glad I did, but I'm also like, that was a pretty bad date. So like, it haunts me. It was bad. So but yeah, I would say that like there is a line between being mysterious, but then there's also a line between being mysterious and then just being like unavailable to the point where I'm wondering like, is he even still interested? So like you gotta have a balance, you know?
Totally.
Like I guess making it like when you talk, like making them like genuine conversations, but still airing the line of too much too soon.
Not needy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. So actually that was the next question I was going to ask. So we really kind of already covered that. Okay, so last question. So
all right.
If you had a big fucking Staples red easy button like right in front of you right now, all you had to do is fucking press it. And the second you pressed it, all guys everywhere would immediately understand what you're about to tell them and change their behavior. What would you say to them before you fucking press the button?
Ooh, and it's supposed to be applicable to everybody? That's hard.
Like, what's one thing you could tell guys if they could just get it and then change their behavior, and that way your dating life from here on out would be much more smoother? Like, what do you want to tell men in general?
Okay, well, and obviously this is just in regards to me. Like I have like some other girls might not be looking for what I'm looking for, so it's hard to even, you know what I mean? But for me,
so yeah,
for me, I would say the biggest thing I would like to tell someone if they would like to date me or continue dating me anyways, it would be like honesty. 100%. Like be upfront, transparent, and honest. Like I don't care about much else. Like I don't like wasting my valuable brain power or time on wondering what the fuck your intentions are or what the fuck's gonna happen here. Like I would much rather be straight up told like, yeah, no, we're just gonna fuck and it's gonna be fuck buddies. Like I'd rather know. And I don't think all girls are like that, but I would rather walk into a situation knowing what the fuck to expect. And so if I could just hit a giant red button that says be honest, that's what I would do.
Okay. That's cool. That's very cool. So you take a little bit of the games out of it. You know, it's funny though. I feel like the more the more into sort of personal development and like the more real and sort of more like almost like professional that you are, so you kind of fit this stereotype or whatever, like the more you're gonna want to get down to fucking brass tacks like that. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like, but we're in this pool with everybody else too, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to play the game and do all this kind of shit too, and it's paying the.
See, I'm terrible about that. I won't play the game. Like, I lose interest fucking quick. And so if someone is playing the game, I'm like, bye, 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 see ya. Like, I just don't, like, next, thank you. Like, I don't, like, I don't know, maybe that makes me, like, bitchy, but I don't care for games. And mind you, the only reason I can say with, like, confidence, like, that's what I would expect is honesty and transparency and just to be upfront like that is because that's how I am. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
if I wasn't upfront or honest or transparent or blunt, frankly, and straightforward and told someone, like, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want, if I wasn't that way, then I wouldn't expect it. But because I know that I am very, like, this is what I'm okay with, this is what I'm not okay with, here's, like, my rules, so to speak, I'm okay with requesting that, and I expect it in return if someone's going to, quote-unquote, keep up with me. Because I'm a woman on a mission. I got shit to do, and I don't have time for games, and I won't play them. Like, I'm not about it. I walk out real fucking fast if there's games being played. And say what you will about me, but that's just how I'm wired, so...
I love it. That's really fucking cool. So this has been really awesome because like I feel like you've been super fucking genuine and you've had some experience. Like you're telling us real shit, and I feel like any guy that watches this video
Tried to.
would definitely learn something. But this has been really fucking awesome. You want to say anything else before we sign off?
No, I mean, this was fun, actually. I was a little nervous, but yeah, no, this was really fun. I like what you're doing. Thanks for
Cool.
having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you much.
Yeah.